It's me, the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Hey, check out my new tag team, baby, Monty and the Pharaoh.
Hey, Jimmy, don't forget to tell them about Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast.
Well, you know what, I would, but you already did it.
It's Monty and the Pharaoh.
The Monty and Pharaoh Show.
Monty Pharaoh, bro.
Monty and the Pharaoh. The Monty and the Pharaoh.
You've got the future Hall of Famers at Rucker, Marty Jannetty, MJ in the house, and I'm sitting here with two more future Hall of Famers, Monty and the Pharaoh. We're doing that stuff and we gonna rock it.
Monty and the Pharaoh.
It's Monty and the Pharaoh.
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 And Monty and the Pharaoh. Oh, is it Monty and the Pharaoh?
Monty and the Pharaoh.
Monty and the Pharaoh.
Hey, cut music. When you want the best in professional wrestling, Long Island, there's only one place you're going to get it, right here.
Monty and the Pharaoh. Now, that's not just the coolest, and that's not just the best. That, my friends, is just incredible.
Monty and the Pharaoh. Duh.
I'm having one fun with Monty and the Pharaoh, and I'm going to put him in a crossface again, and he's going to go down right now. Yeah.
Hey! Not get it called off the Russian Nightmare. And you're watching the #1 show on Long Island with Monty and the Pharaoh.
Unless, of course, somebody else comes back soon. And you know who that is.
Well, that's...
It doesn't matter who that is!
Oh, man, I can't believe I got busted by that.
This life is tearing me apart. This life is tearing me apart. Remember when I was with you? Love was all we really knew. I saw the beauty in this world all around me. And I have tried to understand. You know, I've done the best I can. I miss the love that once was there to guide me. This life is tearing me apart. This life is tearing me apart. I didn't know it was nothing from the start. After all we've been through,
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monty Nefaro, only seen here out of Indie Music TV. We lost Mr. Wonderful this week. Paul Orndorff, known to wrestling fans around the world as Mr. Wonderful, died at the age 71 after dealing with severe spinal cord injury that hampered his career during the mid-'80s. And survived a bout of cancer in 2011, Orndorff finally succumbed to an array of health issues that had plagued him in recent years.
Including dementia, of course, which they feel most likely contributed to Mr. Wonderful's death. You know, Mike, I was talking to you a little earlier about it when I heard about it. Look, I can't take this anymore. I know I say this like it seems like every week, but it's happening every week. There's more and more passing away on an alarmingly regular basis. But this one? This guy has to be, this legend has to be in the top 5 of the early WrestleMania era, easily. After Hogan and Piper, I kind of feel like he's number 3. I mean, of course you could always mention Andre, of course, you know, during the early WrestleMania days. But man, oh man, how many stars were bigger than Mr. Wonderful? This guy was at the center of it all. I mean, he was in the main event of WrestleMania 1, for God's sakes, and we know he all wrongfully took that pin thanks to that reckless, careless Bob Orton freaking with the cast who ruined it. And Mr. T got to have his hand raised, which still annoys me, although I'm glad Hogan had his hand raised, but T? Boo. Boo, Mr. T. Boo. Anyway, I guess we can never have him on now.
Hogan got the win on that, right? He pinned him.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, but Mr. T still had his arm raised.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sickened by this. This is sickening. You know,
this one hit home a lot. Like, obviously, not obviously, but you know, again, I have a list of favorites that I grew up watching. But Orndorff was always there, like in the middle of it. I mean, I can remember when I was in the Army, not to jump ahead, but I was in Germany for the first 2 years in the military. And they would, you know, you'd go to the video stores back in the video age.
Sure.
And, you know, I had no idea at the time that there was something called the big event, right? But the tape was there, and I'm like, oh, good, I'll get to watch some wrestling. And watching that crowd, Orndorff, who turned on Hogan, right, which was one of the great heel turns ever, and watching that match made me just think about how enjoyable Orndorff was. It brought me back to when I first started watching wrestling, when you introduced me to it, and when he was in Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Did Mr. Wonderful have the greatest physique of the 1980s? Because I almost feel like he did. I'm trying to think of someone who was more impressively put together physically than Paul Orndorff. Can you think of anyone? I mean, sure, there were other big... It was the age of it, but there's something about Mr. Wonderful's build. He was massive, but he was proportioned so well. The thick legs and everything. The guy was just an amazing specimen. I mean, you hit the weights all the time back in those days. I'm sure Paul Orndorff was like, you know, I want to look like this guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my God.
I was thinking about the turn of wrestling, right? When, you know, you talk about how, again, everybody's got to realize, I think, that WrestleMania obviously changed wrestling.
Yeah,
and
it did. Of course.
And the core behind that was obviously Cyndi Lauper, Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, Mr. T. But you know who deserves to be in there is Paul Orndorff.
Right. He was just as flashy and exciting and as intense as anybody you just named in many, many ways. He certainly was not just there, if you know what I'm saying. Some guys are fortunate and float into amazing programs, and they don't have as much of an it factor as their opponent or whatever, but they still somehow were remembered like, yeah, Mr. Wonderful was an intense talker, an intense fighter. He was intense, and he came across so main event. He was just a main event guy. And it really breaks my heart what happened to him physically over the years. I do have a hard time watching that, you know, over the years. When you see a guy who was in the kind of shape that Paul Orndorff was most of his life succumb the way he did, it's very humbling. Who had a more vicious pile driver than Paul Orndorff?
No, yes.
We were watching.
Oh, my God.
Guys, man, look up pile drivers with Mr. Wonderful. This guy's brutal. I mean, how did he even pull it off? How did he pull, like, we saw one with Hogan. How did Hogan not... get a broken neck on it.
You know, I'm surprised no one mentioned, not to jump, but no one mentioned the fact when they did the old gym thing when Orndorff's training all the fat people and the skinny people in the gym. That's one of the most funniest vignettes. I mean, that's when wrestling was wrestling, guys. I mean, oh my God.
We have lost one of the greatest wrestlers of the early WrestleMania days, and quite honestly, during the 80s, you can't get much more of a special time period or a more important time period, a more revolutionary time period between the MTV thing, Vince McMahon starting to take WWE global, succeeding, risking the mortgage on his house, kicking all these things off with Hogan, Piper, Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff. Rest in peace. Legend. Legend.
All right, in news, Michael Elgin, or Aaron Frobel,
it's Michael
a.k.a.
Elgin
Michael Elgin, was arrested for violating a protective order against ex-fiancée who alleges sexual, mental, and emotional verbal abuse. As learned, Elgin was arrested on 6/29 and charged with violation of a protective order. The case has been assigned to investigation. The order of protection was filed in May by his fiancée, who will only use her first name, Alex. Says she left her home for my safety in April because I was being abused physically, mentally, and verbally.
And emotionally.
Farrah.
Okay. I understand that. I do believe Mike's had some problems in the past. Also, all I can say is what I know of Michael Elgin from when I've seen him. What I've read doesn't sound good at all. What I know of Michael Elgin, man, oh man, does he hide. If this stuff is true, wow, does he hide it well. He is one of the most quiet, soft-spoken, reserved people I have probably ever come across, and he was very, very, very pleasant with me. At the last big event, we had interviewed him on Monty and the Pharaoh the day before with the late Road Warrior.
Right.
And we saw him. I saw him the next day at the big event, and we talked for a good 20 minutes, me and him just talking, and about all wrestling, of course, and stuff like that. But I can't believe that this is what is going on, because, as I said, just from the couple of times I've seen him, it's shocking to me. I'm very surprised. Let's put it that way. I'm just very freaking surprised.
This might be the funniest comment ever.
What's that?
Braun says, who gets arrested for domestic abuse while wearing a Clubber Lang shirt?
Clubber Lang? Wait, really?
That's the shot.
Hey boy.
Hey boy.
Well, remember that whole thing?
I gotta tell you, I
great.
agree with you on the Elgin thing. He was a very nice,
he's so
quiet, but again, that's what you just never know about people. And again, there's always truths.
I mean, how do we know that she's not a nut job? We don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time somebody just. And I know it goes both ways. It wouldn't be the first time someone has wrongfully just pressed charges on someone else because they want to get at them. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. All I can say is that from knowing Michael Elgin, the little bit I have and talking to him, I'm shocked. He hides it well, if it's true. I'll leave it at that. Do I personally think it's true? I'm having a hard time believing that. Quite honestly,
Well, covered in a previous episode, the woman who accused WWE star Matt Riddle of choking her and forcing her to perform oral sex has dropped her lawsuit against the wrestler on TMZ Sports, has learned, which we covered a couple of months ago.
And
where you had
never
your rant.
to be heard from again.
Quote the Pharaoh.
Hope it was worth it.
Court doc show Candy Cartwright, a pro wrestler whose real name is Samantha Tavel, filed for dismissal on Monday.
Oh, you mean now she can get back with Trying Idol?
Oh, my God.
He's trying. Trying Idol. He's trying.
Oh, my God.
What? F the world. What?
I'm just kidding. So originally, as discussed, she had this lawsuit against him. and he went to social media, which we did a whole segment on it a couple of months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that you didn't believe her, and I
Nope.
guess you're 100% right.
Nope, didn't believe it then. Don't believe in that. Don't really care.
So
See you later.
let me
bye.
ask you this: someone goes out of their way to
Mhm.
try to punish someone,
To cash in on a guy who had just gotten
and they
promoted
don't
to
cash in
SmackDown, and they
anymore.
knew that they could make optimal money
Shouldn't
off
she
him?
get? Shouldn't she get?
Dude, I've always been a
Joe
fan
Shipley
of.
says she's probably got paid off.
I've always been a fan of if you come up with bogus charges. If you come up with bogus charges and it turns out you're just as much of a dick, if not more, your should be,
Well,
you know.
Joe
you know,
Shipley
whatever.
says she probably got paid off.
What, to shut the F up? To just go
Maria
away?
Davis
Who
wanted-
knows? I can't
said
argue
wanted
with
to
that.
ruin
That's
his career.
possible. What was that?
Maria Davis said she wanted to ruin his
I'm with
career.
Maria on this one. I do believe that she, and she was looking to cash in. He had just been promoted to the big time, and she knew that was the moment to try to get optimal cash out of him.
Well,
So,
I'll
to
I'll
me,
say
it was see-through, and it's obviously see-through. And even if she was paid off to shut the F up and go away so Matt Riddle can get what he deserves now, a career, because he worked hard to get to where he's at. Leave him alone, and leave his wife alone, and go away. Yeah, no good rickin' rackin'.
My thought is this: Riddle, when he did that video, he seemed very, convicted toward, like he was like, "This is what happened."
Yeah.
So I think she paid him off. No, I think that she probably just didn't want to continue on with it because it wasn't going to go
She
anywhere.
wasn't going to get anything out of it, and she was probably starting to really lose money paying for her legal counseling. So you know what? You shouldn't have done it in the first place. I never trusted
Here's a
it.
really good point. 802 says, it's crazy. Those guys don't have to force a chick to do anything. I'm sure there's plenty of willing women out there. Joe Shipley says, well said, Farrell.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, 802, I'm not sure if I agree with that comment, right? It's like, doesn't matter. Sometimes people feel privileged that they think they can do whatever they want.
This is true. 802 has a point that when you're a star on that level, Matt Riddle is a little bit of a rock star. We found that to be with a lot of these wrestlers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sure, there are women who are going to make your night very easy. That is true. However, there are some people out there, and I hope this is not a shock to you folks, who could care less if Matt Riddle is a famous professional wrestler. And if they get hit on at the bar, they'll go, who cares who the F you are? I know this for a fact. Because if I could quickly tell you a true story, I was with one of my friend's sisters at a bar. She's very attractive, and up walks a fellow from the NFL. I don't want to embarrass anybody, and this guy's actually a great guy. Walks up to her. He's from the NFL. He played right here in this area. He's a big star. Blah 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 blah. Starts hitting on her. She could care less. She was not attracted to him.
Right.
I think she went out with the guy that fixes cars down at the garage in Northport. He's way better looking. She liked him. She didn't give a damn who he was. And I was just like, wow, no wonder I think you're so cool. You know what I mean? Because, she just was not. So it goes both ways. I agree with 802. There's plenty of them out there to be like, oh, Matt Riddle, can I play your fiddle? There's plenty of them.
I will say this to
Anyway.
Miss Candy Cartwright, that
Yeah.
if you did make up these charges, you should just be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
Because you had an affair with a guy, it
Right.
didn't go your way,
Right.
you move on. You don't
Right.
try to ruin people's lives. I mean, that's just terrible.
Yeah.
So if that is the case, you really should go back and reflect on your life. And first of all say, maybe I shouldn't have sex with a married man.
Well, mistake number one.
That's number one.
Mistake number one.
Number two, if you ever felt uncomfortable around someone, then maybe you shouldn't be sitting shotgun in a van with them, right?
It might be a good idea.
Right? So there's
Stop
two
making
things.
sense.
Don't
What
have
are
sex
you
with a
doing?
married man. Don't sit shotgun with them.
Right.
And then three,
Hey.
it's
Oh,
like,
boy.
what do you expect?
Yeah.
What do you expect?
Oh, boy.
All right, so disappointing news. The WWE will not punish Jimmy Uso for a DWI.
Oh, boy.
Due to big plans already in motion, Jimmy Uso will not be punished by the WWE for his latest DWI due to the plans that they already have in motion and too big to derail. Jimmy Uso was arrested for his second DUI. So first of all, I want to apologize because I think on the last show I
What'd
said
you say,
5
like 40?
DUIs, right, or something like that.
Well, okay, he's had two in the last 2 years.
The multiple-time tag team champion spent the night in jail and faces a variety of charges, including speeding and another for running a red light. Fans questioned whether Uso would suffer any sort of punishment from the WWE, and judging by his role last week, SmackDown, the answer to the question, is no. Pharaoh?
You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Okay, well, it goes something like this. Apparently, there are certain folks in the company that are untouchable. And apparently, it's that family. I don't think anybody in that family can get in any trouble, it seems. Am I wrong to say that?
I don't think you're wrong to say it at all.
I mean,
don't know.
How is Jimmy working literally almost
So
the next night?
I want to go back a week ago when this first happened.
What if
you
he
and
had killed someone?
But you and I were talking,
Yeah.
right? And you gave me two scenarios. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
You gave me this scenario if Jimmy Farrow was running the WWE,
Right.
and then Jimmy Farrow as the television host.
Okay.
So can you give me what you said about Jimmy Farrow, the man who runs the WWE?
Well, if I was running the WWE and this was the situation, I tried to put myself, because of the family, I think what I said to you is I tried to put myself, because of the family history with my company, saying, let's pretend I'm owning it.
Right.
You know how far back that family goes with Vince. And I thought to myself, do I really come down on, it's not just like any other company. Vince has known these guys probably since they were little kids, little children, the Usos, because the family, he's known the family through 40 years, going back to the Samoans and Peter Maivia. You're going back to the 70s, for God's sakes. So you're not just dealing with your employee here. You're dealing with someone who you could almost call family. Now, I know that Vince separates and business is business, but apparently it's not in this situation. Apparently it's not. I have to assume that when Vince hears anything that happens to somebody like Jimmy or Jay, he's probably known them since they were babies. And it might actually be more difficult for him to just look at it as a business and go, no, you idiot, you're fired.
Wow.
Instead, he probably looks at him and goes, my God, this guy was at my barbecue when he was 3 years old.
I didn't expect that take from you.
You know,
but I didn't expect that take.
Okay.
Could the take? Listen, certainly could be exactly what you said. Very well thought out.
I'm trying to understand why Vince is.
Could it be this?
My reaction is get the hell off the fucking.
Could it be this?
You're fired, or you're suspended, or you're something.
But could it be this?
What's that?
SmackDown need better ratings.
Yes, he's in a main event storyline.
Well, hold on, right?
This timing is terrible.
AEW is starting to breathe down the giant corporation's neck.
There's always that too.
And then to the title of the show, who is truly the head of the table? I heard a rumor out there. Don't know how true it is.
It's Roman.
Does Roman say, hey,
it's Roman,
mess around, and I'm going to mess around with you?
Right. Do you really think Roman did that, though? Or is that just another rumor? Because after all, I would like to believe that when Roman was sick and he's had his bouts with leukemia and stuff, I think that Vince has been very good to him. Vince has always been good to him. Let me tell you something, just for the record. If Roman Reigns turns around and ever quits on Vince McMahon and screws him and goes to another company, shame on you, Roman Reigns. Because for the last, and everyone out there, you know it, since Vince decided 6 or 7 years ago, he's my guy, and I'm going to keep him as a baby face, you know how much a lot of fans resisted that, and Vince just kept pushing Roman Reigns to the moon. If I was Roman Reigns, I'd be very grateful, because that pushing to the moon resulted in what we have now, the ultimate Roman Reigns, the bad guy Roman Reigns. Now all those wins over all those years the people were all upset about do nothing but enhance the resume and the current Roman Reigns. You know, so if Roman Reigns ever bolted for AEW, you ungrateful. Are you kidding me?
Well done,
Vince
sir.
booked you like a wrestling god. You know, I mean, if it was me, the guy's suspended. Okay, he's done it twice now. I would have suspended him for a year. I would have been like, get out of here, see you next year. And if you do it again, by the way, that's 2. You're lucky no one's dead. Okay, number 3, you're fired. I never want to hear from you again. Get the hell out of here. Just as long as we're clear on that. So that's what I would have done. I would have suspended him for at least a year. I would have been like, get out of here and go to rehab and do something. And what is going on with anyway? Can Naomi do anything about this?
Oh, my God.
What's happening with that? Naomi? Where is she when all of this is happening?
WWE superstars rally around Naomi following the abuse from Jimmy Uso fans.
That's why I said it,
WWE superstars have been showing support for Naomi after she deleted her Twitter account thanks to the abuse of her husband Jimmy Uso's fans.
Right.
WWE superstars have been showing their support of Naomi after she had deactivated her Twitter.
Right. Well, what is this right here, though? One of the people who came to her aid was Mia Yim, and apparently Mia Yim condemned a fan who said that Naomi... what? Oh, Yim told the fan that she should commit suicide. Boy, that's a little too supportive.
That's
what the hell is that?
That's ridiculous.
That's
By the way,
ridiculous.
Mr. Big's in the house. He says Alpha Hanoi Jr., son of Alpha Senior, who was the head of the table, should be the head of the table. It's his birthright.
I can't. I'm cool with that. I'm cool. You know how long that guy's been a champion?
A long time.
He's been champion for like years. Yeah. I would like to see him in the big program. That would work for me, quite honestly.
But he should be head of the table.
No, it's Roman.
Roman's head.
Yeah,
of the
Roman's
table.
head of the table. Get out of here.
Roman's got the look.
Roman's. Roman's head of the table. That's all. Unless, of course, somebody else comes back soon. And you know who that is.
Well, that's...
It doesn't matter who that is.
Oh, man, I can't
sorry.
believe I got busted by that.